massively. There's no escaping the Afro-Caribbean culture in the Caribbean. You're born with it. I'm so grateful for that. It's so rich. Isn't that why we have modernism? Because of the Africans? Isn't that Picasso and Matisse and a little mask with a circle and a... So yeah, bravo. It's part of your culture. Hello, in Puerto Rico, a bomba, in plena, and in Cuba, infinitely. So many rhythms. With Robert Ferris Thompson is when I really started acquiring all my knowledge, academic knowledge of the impact of Afro-Caribbean culture in the world. It was natural for me. I mean, my grandmother practiced some Afro-Cuban religions. I learned about these Inkisi bags that I think it was the Bakongo people, a Western African tribe, that they took into the jungle or the forest this bag with objects, and they left it there for the night. Then a comet will pass or a falling star, and it will activate the bag and will make it magical. The bag will have magic powers, and then a shaman will use it. So I knew a lot about these things when I was growing up, like most people who are born and raised in the Caribbean. El vaso de agua in top of the refrigerator is always there. In my work, it was always present. When I did my series, The Worshipping of My Ancestors, that's the title of a chapter in Robert Ferris Thompson, which was the Dean of History of our department at Yale. Yale, Harvard, get it all wrong. He passed actually 2 years ago. It was really horrible for us. He was older man, but if there was ever an Africanist. And all the things have to do a lot with embracing your reality. That was my reality. It doesn't have to be another artist, but that was part of my culture. The chapter, Worshipping Your Ancestors, was very, very natural to me because that's what I grew up with. You know, your ancestor passed away and you continue worshiping them with rituals, with candles, and we do this in Mexico, the Day of the Dead. It happens in many European countries that a lot of people have no knowledge about, but it happens in many places. There's a yearly ritual about continuity. Mm-hmm. Robert wrote about that every culture worshiped their ancestors, except, guess which one? A culture that we have erased every idea of spirituality here. Don't even try to say that you're spiritual, believe in God or Jesus or Muhammad or Buddha, because it's like, you know, the only God is your car, your Manolo Blahniks. It's so light. In any case, lucky again to have that reality, to have that force inside of me on believing in something greater than me. A lot of my work takes on those memories and those rituals. When you see glitter around, that's nothing more than that Inkisi bag. You see it in the Haitian bottles. That's why we use glitter a lot. It's reflecting what's in the sky and use it as a tool of magic. There's another great writer from Martinique, I think was his name. No, we have to track this. French. He wrote The System of Objects. There's two writers that were very influential on my work, and one of them wrote that objects are embedded with memory. And it is the artist's role to activate this memory. I always felt that. My family always felt that. Most people that were raised in the Caribbean or in Latin America, that's it. I mean, magic realism, everything has a life. Everything is a living thing, or everything that has a memory has powers. No? But reading it with such clarity, and that's my affair with words and poetry, it's beautiful, it's really emotional. And that helped me define my work. That's why you see actually back here, these are objects that I empower with memory. And I place them there as a totem being the vehicle that activates that memory and releases it. Here, I'm actually breaking objects, which is another way of releasing the memory. There's another series over there that I asked my friends to bring me objects that they were highly connected with, that if it was okay for me to have them, that I wanted to activate the memory that belonged to them. It's a series called About the Ephemeral and Memory, and it's one of my most successful artworks. There's another series called Apito y Cenizas, with letter to Alberto. Apito is a Taino word for grandmother. The Tainos had a word for grandmother. And that's actually me with my grandmother's ashes, throwing them in top of me, with a symbol that I made in my own, that is Taino and Hopi Indian mix. I kind of like developed my own alphabet at one moment. I have it there in some of my sketchbooks. So it's all kind of like rooted in that. I mentioned Taino culture earlier. I come from a country that half its pueblos, its towns, they still have their original Taino name. Our food. I come from a place with a lot of clarity. It knows where it came from, the good and the bad. And Robert Ferris Thompson is the one that said, like, you know, you're a Caribbean son. You come from the land where mixing and blending has been going on eternally. I know. It's very powerful. There's words that we use that are universal, that come from my part of the world. Hamaca, hammock, is a Taino word. Tiburón, which is used everywhere in Latin America, it means shark. It's a Taino word. Huracán, hurricane. How many languages use that word? It's a Taino word. So guess what? The past is very alive. And my culture continues to be very alive, and that's okay. I thrive on that. I thrive on that continuity. I don't like the trimming or disappearance of cultures. I'm troubled by it. I'm troubled by when history is cut.